It's Wildcard Wednesday, so we're going to talk about a topic of our choosing. Today, it's social media and texting etiquette. There are apparently rules that I have been breaking and didn't even know about it. You at home may have been breaking them and didn't know about it. Good thing for us, we have an expert here to explain all the things we've been doing wrong and how to fix them. So joining us right now is the CEO of the New York social media agency, Ruby Media Group, Kristen Ruby, Ruby herself. We want to start first with don't use periods when you text someone. My teammates and I thought this was crazy because it felt like, we're leaving someone hanging, but you say no.
Yeah, so apparently a lot of millennials can perceive periods at the end of text messages as being overly aggressive. So if you use a period when you're texting them, they actually will think that you're angry with them or that you're being passive aggressive or maybe even sarcastic. So the rule of thumb is apparently no periods when you are talking to millennials these days.
I have to tell you, Kristen, as a former English teacher, a piece of me dies listening to this. But I want to be, I want to be cool with the kids. The other thing you say is don't use too many question marks, which I actually agree. The aggressive question mark sends me into a tizzy.
Yeah, so when someone uses too many question marks in a text message, again, this tells someone on the other end of the text that, why are you not answering me? You need to answer me right away, and that you're mad at them. So much of this behavior, this texting behavior, is really etiquette that others are expecting you to do.
Oh my gosh, and the 10,000 exclamation points as well. This happens to me more often than I wanted to, and I become aggressive. I'm in a group chat, and there are like 3 numbers that I do not recognize. It makes me crazy. Am I wrong for feeling this way?
No, not at all. I think most people feel the exact same way that you feel about this, which is that the etiquette when you're texting is that if you're going to do a group text and you add someone new to that thread, you have to let the others know who that person is and what the phone number is. Or else what's going to happen is they're going to privately text message you and say, who is this person? Question mark, question mark, question mark in a row. So you really want to let them know. So some people have different thresholds when it comes to their privacy, and you have to respect that.
Yes, no, I by trying to get an answer to one piece of etiquette, I break another piece of etiquette with the 10,000 question marks, exclamation points. I've done this. Don't call someone and then text them and say, just tried you. Why not?
Yeah, I'm guilty of that one too, by the way. So the reason why, I think it really depends on what demographic you're texting. Because if you're dealing with a millennial, millennials hate picking up the phone or using the phone as a phone. So that's one of my list of don'ts, on my list of don'ts. But so in general, though, if you deal with a millennial and you do this and tell them I left you a voicemail, like they're most likely never going to listen to that voicemail because they don't check their voicemails.
Yes, that was another thing that's not on our list. But yes, don't leave a voicemail. I don't leave a voicemail. But quickly, don't call someone unless it's a scheduled call. Why is that?
So if you call someone and it's not a scheduled call, it can feel very abrasive to them and extremely disruptive, especially, again, if you're dealing with a millennial generation. They want to know that they can prepare for the phone call and get ready for the phone call. And I think to different generations, that idea of having to prepare for a call seems like this novel idea because it's a phone, right? And you should use it as a phone. But other generations feel differently about that. And what's fascinating is, especially as we move to a virtual workforce, we have so many different generations now forced to work together with different communication preferences and styles. And we're left to try and figure out how do you make that work. And one of the ways to make that work is to ask someone what are your communication preferences up front?
Right, because I feel like there is a lack or a loss of communication because someone has texted, the other person has called, and in business, you're leaving money on the table sometimes when that happens. Yeah. Oh, I texted you. Oh, but I was expecting a phone call or vice versa. What can we do to fix that? Anything?
So the first tip to fix that is to say, what are your preferred communication methods? Is it texting? Is it email? And then, unfortunately, you have to really bend to what the other person's preferred communication method is. And that's really hard to do. But if you want to make sure that you're not missing any critical pieces of information or leaving dollars on the table, like you mentioned, that's really what has to happen.
Kristen Ruby, thank you so much for your insight. We certainly do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.